Hi US, this is Dr. Pragati and I welcome you all to my channel, and today let us discuss about bioinorganic chemistry, which is prescribed for second semester of MSc students, MSc chemistry students. Before getting into the lecture, let us see what is bioinorganic chemistry. So it is the biochemistry which dealt with the function of the elements other than carbon in biological systems. So, other than carbon, elements may be metals or non-metals that influence the biological systems come under this bioinorganic chemistry. So in the syllabus that is prescribed for MSc second semester, there are various topics under bioinorganic chemistry. These topics can be divided into three headings, under three headings. The first one is essential and trace elements in biology. So under this we can discuss about the classification, concept of essentiality, evolution of essential trace elements, role of bulk elements, minerals and trace elements, and also deficiency symptoms and specific function of these essential elements. And then we'll discuss about the antagonism and synergism, that is influence of these elements among the that means influence of one element on the another element, that may be positive or negative. And then the second one is respiratory pigments, that is oxygen uptake proteins, and the next one, the last one is photosynthesis. So in these three subheadings, let us discuss the first one, that is about essential elements in today's lecture. Okay, under this we'll discuss about the introduction part, then essential elements, various essential elements that influence the biological systems, then essentiality concept, classification of essential elements into several groups, then function and efficiency signs of these essential elements, and then influence of these essential elements among these groups, that means influence of one element on the another. And we'll discuss about the topics respiratory pigments and photosynthesis in the next lectures. So we have discussed about the definition of bioinorganic chemistry, and then this bioinorganic chemistry, it is an interdisciplinary subject. That means it has relation with other subjects called biochemistry, microbiology, physics, toxicology, pharmacology, physiology, inorganic chemistry, and several other subjects also. So essential under our syllabus, we have the major part for essential elements. So we have I think 118 elements in the modern periodic table, but among these 118 elements, only 13 are found, 30 I mean 30 are found to be the essential elements. That means the function of these elements has been found, but later in future some more elements may be found to be essential for biological systems. So it depends upon the abundance, natural abundance, that decides the essentiality of an element. Among these 30 elements, molybdenum, which is having 42 atomic number, is the heaviest metal, and iodine, that is having 53 atomic number, is the heaviest non-metal of known biological important elements. Next, let us see the concept of essentiality. How the essentiality of elements will be decided. So an essential element can be defined as it is absolutely required for the maintenance of life, and its absence results in the several malfunction of abnormality of the organism and sometimes death also. So an element is considered as essential based on the criteria, that the first one is a physiological deficiency appears when the element is removed from a purified diet. Then deficiency can be relieved by the addition of one specific element. The specific biochemical function is associated with a particular element. The element should be present in the tissues of different animals at comparable concentrations. The element should have a direct influence on the organism and be involved in metabolic reactions. The function of the essential element cannot be totally performed by any other element. So, based on these criteria, the essentiality of an element can be decided. Then let us move to the next topic, that is evolution of life essential elements. How these essential elements play important role in biological systems, whether it is from the beginning of origin of Earth. So Earth was it is solidified 4 billion years ago, and then at the time of the solidification of Earth, 81 stable elements are there, and the elements required for life were primarily derived from the primitive oceans. That's why life was originated in primitive oceans. The correlation between the elements and biological systems was mitigated by various factors. Among these, the first one is that is related to enriched content of carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur in living organisms. So these are the elements present in the primitive life, that is when the life was originated in primitive oceans. So this is accounted for the probability of that life is originated in primitive oceans. That means these elements were present in primitive oceans. The rare elements were not used by living systems because they were not available. So among the 30 elements which are considered to be essential for biological systems today were not used. All the elements were not used at the time of origin of life. The second factor to be mentioned in the distribution of elements in our oceans today does not reflect that an earlier era when the Earth's atmosphere was not strongly oxidizing. The iron would have been present in the more solution in +2 oxidation state, which is so prevalent in later biological systems despite its high dilution in water. Then the third factor is that the natural selection process which led to the choice of a few elements that had superior reactivity. That means because of their reactivity, these elements play an important role. For example, when divalent manganese, cobalt, nickel ion incorporated in metallose enzymes in place of zinc, the reconstituted enzyme is usually less efficient when compared with zinc. So zinc 2 plus may not be replaced by other +2 ions called manganese 2 plus or cobalt 2 plus or nickel 2 plus, whatever it may be. This is because zinc ion possesses the optimal properties for that metalloenzymes. So the essentiality of an element can be decided by the abundance, natural abundance, as well as the oxidation state also. Then classification of essential elements. These elements can be classified into different groups called bulk and structural elements. Here we have 6 elements called considered to be bulk or structural elements. Then the next one is macro minerals, in which 5 elements are there called sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, and chlorine. The third category is trace elements. Here we have 3 elements called iron, copper, and zinc. Then ultra trace elements, that means the elements which are required in very minute amounts. So in this category we have both metals and non-metals. So in non-metals we have 6 elements called fluorine, iodine, selenium, silicon, arsenic, and boron. And metals, there are 10 metals which are important for biological systems. Those are manganese, molybdenum, cobalt, chromium, vanadium, nickel, cadmium, tin, lead and lithium. So this is the periodic table in which we can find the essential elements uh, which are required for biological systems. So various the elements which are rounded with red color are bulk elements, and which are in blue squares or trace elements, and the green elements, those are considered to be somewhat important under maybe essential trace ultra trace elements. Now let us see role of bulk or structural elements. So structural elements are hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus and sulfur. As we discussed earlier, these elements are found in primitive oceans. That's why the primary life is a combination of these elements. And at present also these elements have importance in various directions. Called molecular hydrogen is metabolized by some bacteria and converted into nutrients. Hydrogen and oxygen are constituent of water, and moreover hydrogen is present in DNA, RNA and other even food materials called carbohydrates, proteins, whatever it may be. Then carbon and hydrogen are used in the biosynthesis of all organic molecules and biogenetic carbohydrates. Nitrogen is essential for the biosynthesis of proteins, nucleic acid, etc. And we all know that oxygen is very important for life. It is present as a constituent in water and most organic molecules in biological systems. It is required for respiration by most organisms, and also it is required for photosynthesis. So phosphorus is an important constituent of DNA, RNA, bones, ADP, ATP and metabolic intermediates. The last one, that is sulfur, it is present in most of the proteins. It plays an important role in tertiary structure of proteins through sulfur-sulfur linkages. It is present in vitamins and involved in fat metabolism. In photosynthesis by some bacteria, H2S replaces water. So in place of oxygen, sulfur plays an important role in photosynthesis that happens in some bacteria. And then the next topic, that is role of macro minerals. So macro minerals means these elements are required much less than bulk minerals, but these are more important than trace elements. So let us see first metals. So the metals which are essential for life are sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc, molybdenum and tungsten. Let us see general roles of metal ions in biological systems. So we know that sodium and potassium along with chlorine, they have an important role in biological systems as these are charge carriers. They control osmotic and electrochemical gradients, and they influence the nerve function also. And magnesium, calcium, these act as enzyme activators and structure promoters. These act as Lewis acids. And magnesium is present in chlorophyll, which is very important for photosynthesis. And calcium, it is present in the bones as insoluble phosphates. Let us see some more importance, that is role of sodium and potassium in a biological system. So potassium is essential to all the organisms as a major cation in intracellular fluid in animals. It is essential for transmission of nerve impulse and cardiac function. And potassium is useful in the storage of protein and glycogen. So it stores glycogen and it controls nerve impulse also. Sodium is a major cation of extracellular fluid. So potassium is intracellular fluid and sodium is extracellular fluid in animals, and it is important in nerve functioning. Both potassium and sodium ions help in maintaining the normal osmotic pressure of different fluids in the body, and they are important in maintaining the neuromuscular irritability. So these control the nerve function also. And chlorine, let us discuss about the importance of chlorine here itself. It is essential for higher plants and mammals, as sodium chloride, as it is present in sodium chloride electrolyte, and as HCl in digestive fluid. Chlorine is one of the most important electrolytes in the blood. It helps to keep the amount of fluid inside and outside the cells in balance. It also helps maintain proper blood volume, blood pressure, and pH of our body fluids. So we can have a glance of a role of sodium that is Na plus. So extracellular fluid, and it maintains osmotic balance, acid base balance, conformation of proteins. That acid base balance means pH control. Then conformation of proteins and nucleic acids, electrical impulse of nerve system. So role of potassium, it acts as enzyme activator, conformation of proteins and RNA replication, secretion of gastric acids, then transmembrane potentials. Then coming to alkaline earth metals, we have two metals that are present in secondary, that is alkaline earth metals, magnesium and calcium, as essential elements. The first one is magnesium. So it is important for plants, in which it is present in chlorophyll and important for photosynthesis. Other than the photosynthesis, it has other functions called, it has control over nervous system, then active transport in intracellular fluid, then enzyme activator, that's for example ATPase. Then magnesium is antagonistic to calcium. Here we can see the structure of chlorophyll. So later we will discuss about that. And deficiency of magnesium, it causes sclerosis. So role of calcium in biological systems. Calcium present in most of the hard tissues such as bones and shells in the form of calcium carbonate, that is CaCO3. It is also present in hepatite, that is Ca5PO4 taken thrice X, which is the major component of bone tissue in the vertebrate skeleton. It is important electrochemically and involved in blood clotting. So it influences the clotting of blood. So it is very much important. And it inhibits magnesium 2 plus activated enzymes. That means it has a negative influence over magnesium. So essential trace elements, that means the elements which are present in tracer amounts, that means in micro amounts, and these are required for the metabolic functions in biological systems. So here we have a graph that the concentration and physiological effect of these trace elements. That means these elements are very much required in optimal amounts, and less than the optimal amounts, they cause cause deficiency symptoms. That means if the elements are not present in biological systems, they cause certain deficiency symptoms, and even sometimes death may also occur. But above the limit, that means optimal concentrations, if they are present in excess amounts, they act as toxic elements. So here we have chromium as essential element, but it acts as toxic when it is present in excess amounts. So similarly the other elements also, fluorine. It is essential for biological system in micro amounts, but when it is present in excess amounts, it causes some certain disorders in biological systems. So let us see the how these essential trace elements work. So some elements are required for growth and survival of organism in extremely low concentrations. That means micromolar, maybe 10 power minus 8 to 10 power minus 9 micromolar concentrations. Most of the trace elements have their role as metalloenzymes. For example, zinc and even copper also, they act as metalloenzymes. Then they serve as prosthetic groups in active sites or coenzymes. For example, uh, iron, which is present in hemoglobin, and then magnesium present in chlorophyll, and cobalt present in vitamin B12. So in metalloenzymes, a fixed number of specific metal atoms, usually iron, zinc, copper, manganese, cobalt, molybdenum, nickel, etc., are associated with a protein. The combination produces a unique catalytic function. The protein portion of the metalloenzymes selects and limits the substrate and directs the bond to be hydrolyzed. Metal ions can play a major role in the geometry and formation of active sites. So, it influences the function of proteins which are present in metalloenzymes. So, metals such as iron and copper have another dimension that of already changing readily changing their oxidation states so that they can serve as catalytic electron carriers. They produce oxidized substrates which they can fit into a variety of metabolic cycles. So, lack of these elements in biological systems cause deficiency signs and specific function of they have specific function in biological systems. So we have in our syllabus certain elements of which the deficiency signs and specific function of these essential trace elements. These elements are iron, cobalt, copper, nickel, zinc, fluorine, iodine, and selenium. First, let us go to iron. So, iron is an essential trace metal. The adult human body normally contains 3 to 4 grams of iron, in which 70% is in hemoglobin, that is called even 75%, and it is called heme iron, and other in my intracellular enzymes. So thermodynamically stable form of iron is iron 3 plus, that is Fe3 plus ferric iron. And this ferric iron is handled by specific transport and storage proteins, namely transferring and ferritin. So in human body, iron 75% of iron is present in hemoglobin. That's why it is called heme iron. So it is present in hemoglobin, myoglobin, cytochromes, oxidases, etc. And whereas the remaining, that is 25% of iron, is present as non-heme iron in rhodopsins, ferredoxins, etc. So important functions of iron in biological systems. As we all of you know that uh, it is the first and foremost function of iron. Iron is transport of oxygen. So it acts as oxygen carrier in blood. Fe2 plus is present as central metal ion in several respiratory pigments like hemoglobin, myoglobin, hemerythrin, etc. And it is responsible for transport of oxygen in body. And another function of iron is oxygen supply to muscles, that is from respiratory organs, maybe lungs to tissues, muscles. So iron 2 plus is present in myoglobin, and it stores and supplies oxygen to muscles and tissues. So it is also responsible for the development of RBC, that is red blood corpuscles, iron is needed for the synthesis of hemoglobin and in turn develops RBC. Another function is metabolic oxidations in cell nucleus. Iron is present in the chromatin material of nucleus and it is essential for metabolic oxidations taking place inside the nucleus. Next function is role in biological oxidation. So cytochromes and some enzymes such as catalase and peroxidases contain iron. So cytochromes, catalase, biological oxidation and provide energy. Deficiency symptoms of iron. So all of us know that deficiency of iron causes anemia, and some other deficiency symptoms are there. The development of abnormal erythrocytes called sickle cell anemia, general fatigue, pale skin, strange cravings to eat non-food items like clay, dirt, ice, chalk, etc., and irregular heartbeat. These are the deficiency signs of iron. The next metal is essential metal is cobalt. So cobalt is absorbed in the digestive tract. In small doses, the cobalt is almost completely absorbed, while in larger doses it is poorly absorbed. That means if lesser amounts are there, cobalt may be completely absorbed. If larger amounts are there, it may or may not be absorbed. So we need only less amounts. Cobalt is essential for many organisms including mammals. It is present in vitamin B12 that is called cyanocobalamin, and this vitamin maintains normal bone marrow function for producing erythrocytes. So cobalt activates a number of enzymes. So here we have the structure of cyanocobalamin, in which cobalt acts as the central metal ion, and the remaining is that porphyrin ring, and it is linked to a protein. So deficiency symptoms of cobalt are it causes a nutritional anemia called pernicious anemia, and this is due to lack of vitamin B12, that is due to lack of cobalt. Then other symptoms are numbness, fatigue, tingling in hand and feet, decreased nerve function, etc. So some other deficiency signs of cobalt are the deficiency of cobalt limits the production of vitamin B12, which leads to nutritional type of anemia and reduced appetite and ill thrift in cattle and sheep, rough pale coat and reduced milk production. So next element is copper. So it is essential to all organisms as constituent of redox enzymes, and it acts as oxygen carrier in certain respiratory pigments such as hemocyanin, which is present in certain invertebrates called mollusks or annelids. And then it acts as enzyme catalyst, and it is important for synthesis of chlorophyll. So here we have copper, two oxidation states of copper 1 and copper 2, in which copper 1 is important. So plant animals, it acts as plants in animals, it acts as electron, oxygen carrier. In plants, it acts as it is important for electron transfer and even protection of DNA from that is peroxide ion. And copper proteins and enzymes present in biological systems are cytochrome oxidase, tyrosinase, phenol oxidase, ceruloplasmin, blue proteins, superoxide dismutase, and the next one, that is the respiratory pigment, is hemocyanin, and the functions are also given here. Then deficiency of copper, it causes certain irregularities in biological systems. The first one is in plants, certain deficiency sign called dieback and inability to produce seeds, chlorosis, and reduced photosynthesis. As we discussed earlier, it enhances the photosynthetic process. So, deficiency of copper causes the reduced photosynthesis. Then, in human beings, it causes several disorders called osteoporosis, osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, reduced muscle movement, poor growth, and always feeling cold, skin inflammation, etc. Nickel is the next one that is considered to be the essential trace element for biological systems. So it acts as active metal in several hydrogenases and plant ureases. It stabilizes spoiled ribosomes, and deficiency of nickel causes impaired liver function and morphology. Next essential metal is zinc. So zinc is distributed in prostate, hair, bones, spleen, pancreas, blood, etc. So its concentration in blood is about 900 micrograms per 100 ml, and among these 75% of zinc is present in RBC and 22% of zinc is present in plasma. The remaining, that is 3%, is present in leukocytes. So functions of zinc. Zinc is an essential element as it is present in more than 70 enzymes. For example, glutamate dehydrogenase, liver alcohol dehydrogenase, etc. It stabilizes coiled ribosomes. It plays an important role in sexual maturation and reproduction, and it is also present in insulin. So here we have the structures of metalloenzymes which have zinc as central metal ion. So the first one is carboxypeptidase A, and the second one is alcohol dehydrogenase. So deficiency signs of lack of zinc. So disturbances of reproductive system, then dwarfism, that means growth retardation may be there, and skin lesions, skeletal abnormalities, reduction of leukocytes, that means it causes blood cancer called leukemia. So next element which is considered to be the essential is fluorine. So fluorine is present in biological systems as fluoride ion, that is F minus. So it helps to strengthen tooth enamel, and it protects bones and teeth from damage by creating compounds with calcium and phosphorus, so which are stronger and less soluble than other calcium salts. Bones are more stable and resistant to degradation if the food has a sufficient amount of fluoride, and it is used as calcium fluoride by some mollusks. Some mollusks have calcium fluoride in their shells, etc. So it is important, fluorine is important for tooth and bones. Deficiency signs of fluorine. So it causes growth depression, dental caries, osteoporosis. And as we discussed in earlier classes, that fluoride, if it is present in overdoses, it causes dermatitis, spots on teeth as the enamel gets yellow brown color, and that disease is called as fluorosis, enamel fluorosis, which is common in certain villages of Anantapur districts and also in Nalgonda district. So next one is iodine. Iodine is essential trace element among non-metals, having highest atomic number, that is 53, and it is essential for metabolism and growth regulation. It is also required for amphibian metamorphosis. Functions of iodine biological systems. Iodine is a component of the thyroid hormones that determines the rate of metabolism in the body. Thyroid hormones are essential for the growth and development of various organs. Thyroid gland is involved in the production of proteins, cholesterol synthesis, carbohydrate absorption, and the conversion of keratin to vitamin A. Thyroxine is important for the regulation of body weight. And some more deficiency symptoms are hypothyroidism include fatigue, apathy, drowsiness, muscle weakness, increasing body weight, and young people who live in areas where there is a lack of iodine are at risk of developing goiter. So the last one, very recently it is found to be the essential for biological systems, that is selenium. So selenium is essential for mammals and some higher plants. It is a component of glutathione peroxidase. It protects against free radical oxidant stressors. And deficiency of selenium develops white muscle disease in sheep. So that is about essential elements and the functions of essential elements in biological systems and deficiency symptoms also. Now let us move to the next topic, that is antagonism and synergism. So these two means the influence of one element on the other element. So that may be either positive or negative. So if the presence of an essential element causes the deficiency of another trace element, then it is called antagonism. That means it has a negative impact on the another element. For example, if zinc is present in biological system, it inhibits copper intake. So zinc is considered to be antagonistic to copper. Then iron 2 antagonizes zinc. And molybdenum and sulfur antagonize copper by forming there is copper thiomolybdate. And tungsten is antagonistic to molybdenum. Magnesium is impaired by calcium, as we discussed earlier. Coming to the next point, that is synergism. So that means the positive impact of one element on the another. If the presence of an essential trace element promotes or enhances the activity of another trace element, so this phenomena is known as synergism. For example, copper present in plasma copper protein, that is ceruloplasmin, promotes iron mobilization and hemoglobin biosynthesis. That means copper promotes the absorption of iron. So we can search for some other examples for synergism, and let us sum up the topics what we have discussed today. So we have discussed about the definition of bioinorganic chemistry and scope of bioinorganic chemistry, how it is related with other subjects. Then essential elements in biological systems, evolution of essentiality, classification of essential elements into various groups called bulk minerals, macro minerals, trace elements, ultra trace elements, etc. And function of these essential elements, then deficiency symptoms of these essential elements. Then finally we discussed about antagonism and synergism. So in the next classes we will discuss about the other two topics called oxygen carriers or respiratory pigments, and then the next one, that is photosynthesis. So if you have any doubts or queries, you are free to call me at 9440798008, or you can also mail to prakti.madur@gmail.com. Okay. Thank you all for listening to me, and let us meet in the next topics.